This graph summarizes the state of air quality in Ontario during 2013 and examines 10-year trends. It's how air pollution has increased over time and reports on the measured levels of 6 common air pollutants, which are ground level ozone, fine particulate matter, nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, total reduced sulfur compounds, the Air Quality Index, and smog alert programs. The people most at risk for outdoor air pollution would be the ones who have respiratory or cardiovascular problems. Respiratory problems would include asthma and lung cancer, whereas cardiovascular is previous heart attacks, congestive heart failure, or heart rhythm problems. The other sensitive groups include young children because pre-body weight tends to inhale more oxygen than adults, the elderly since they generally have weak lungs and have poor heart defense systems, also, people who are active outside, which include construction workers and children participating in sports.
Hey Annie,
Yeah,
do you know the two different kinds of air pollutants?
I do. There's primary, which is when the pollutant is directly emitted from the source, and secondary is when it's not directly emitted, but forms when other primary pollutants react in the atmosphere.
Do you know any examples?
Sure, an example of a primary source is sulfur dioxide, which is a gas formed when sulfur is exposed to oxygen at high temperatures during fossil fuel combustion, oil refining, or metal smelting. SO2 is a toxic at high concentrations, but its principal air pollution effects are associated with the formation of acid rain and aerosols. Nitrogen oxides. Highly reactive gases formed when oxygen and nitrogen react at high temperatures during combustion or lightning strikes. Nitrogen is present in fuel can also be emitted as NOx during combustion. Emissions are dominated by fossil fuel combustion at northern mid-latitudes and biomass burning in the tropics. Carbon monoxide is an odorless, colorless gas formed by incomplete combustion of carbon in fuel. The main source is motor vehicle exhaust, along with industrial processes and biomass burning. Carbon monoxide binds to the hemoglobin in red blood cells, reducing their ability to transport and release oxygen throughout the body. Low exposures can aggravate cardiac ailments, while high exposures cause central nervous system impairment or death. Ammonia is a colorless, pungent, hazardous caustic gas composed of nitrogen and hydrogen. Though ammonia is used for different applications in many sectors, agriculture is its largest consumer and producer. Livestock farming, animal waste, and fertilizer application are the biggest sources of atmospheric ammonia emissions with the agricultural sector. Major sources of lead emissions to the air today are ore and metal processing and piston engine aircraft operating on leaded aviated gasoline. The highest air concentration of lead are usually found near lead smelters. Other stationary sources are waste incinerators, utilities, paint and lead acid battery and manufacturers.
What about secondary sources?
Well, some examples of secondary sources are ozone, which is formed when hydrocarbons and nitrogen oxides combine in presence of sunlight. There's also NO2, which is formed as NO combines with oxygen in the air, and acid rain, which is formed when sulfur dioxide or nitrogen oxide reacts with water. There is a chart to measure the quality of air around you, known as the Air Quality Health Index, which is a scale designed to help you understand what the air quality means around you to your health. It's a health protection tool that is designed to help you make decisions to protect your health by limiting short-term exposure to air pollution and adjusting your activity levels during increased levels of air pollution. It also provides advice on how you can improve the quality of air you breathe. The index pays particular attention to people who are sensitive to air pollution and provides them with advice on how to protect their health during air quality levels associated with low, moderate, high, and very high health risks. The AQHIS communicates 4 primary things. It measures the air quality in relation to your health on a risk from a scale of 1 to 10. The higher the number, the greater the health risk associated with the air quality. If the amount of air pollution is very high, the number will be reported as 10 plus. It assigns a category that describes the level of health risk associated with the index reading. It provides health messages customized to each category for both the general population and the at-risk population. It shows currently our AQHI readings and maximum forecast values for today, tonight, and tomorrow.
Symptoms that show if you're affected from outdoor air pollutions include irritated eyes, coughing, increased mucus production in the nose or throat, and difficulty breathing, especially during exercising.
Toronto's TTC subway system is a major example of indoor air quality. While the TTC subway system is not likely to endanger employees and commuters, the study, which was led by Health Canada and published in the journal Environmental Science and Technology, discovered the mean concentration of a fine particulate matter known as PM2.5 on the subway system was 95 micrograms per cubic meter, or 10 times the level outside. It is likely generated by friction between the steel subway wheels and tracks. PM2.5 is not considered a health hazard for most people, but experts say it can cause illnesses in vulnerable groups such as the elderly and those with certain health conditions such as asthma.
Okay, so as a person who rides the subway frequently, do you feel that indoor air quality has affected you?
I mean, I ride the subway every day, but I don't really feel any physical or even mental. I don't feel anything after riding the subway except that, oh man, I just rode the subway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you know any effects of bad air quality?
Of course, I mean, there's always high likelihood of gaining asthma. High likelihood, if you already have asthma, of having an attack. There's respiratory diseases and all manner of different airborne viruses and bacteria.
Okay. So, do you think Toronto has some of the best air quality in the world compared to China, for example?
Well, compared to China, everybody has great air quality. China's one of the worst in the world, if not the worst. So, I believe that Toronto doesn't have great air quality, but I believe it's nowhere near as bad as China.
Okay. And so, what would you do to help better the indoor and outdoor air quality of Toronto?
I think just the banning of any heavy industry, which we don't have a whole lot of, but pushing that outside of the city, which most of it already is. But obviously, carpooling is always a good way to cut down on emissions from cars. Less people in less cars. So, obviously, taking the bus and taking public transit is always a good method.
Right. Perfect.
Overall, air quality has improved significantly over the past 10 years, especially for nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and carbon monoxide, pollutants emitted by vehicles and industries, as well as fine particulate matter, which may be emitted directly into the atmosphere as a byproduct of fuel combustion, or it may be formed indirectly in the atmosphere through a series of complex chemical reactions. Ontario is continuously improving its air monitoring network. In 2013, the Government of Canada adopted new upgraded technology that allows us to measure fine particulate matter more accurately. With the improvement of technology, our air will keep on getting better. Improving outdoor air quality starts with using public transit, such as the TTC, conserving energy, which is turning off the lights when you leave a room, reduce, reuse, and recycle, clean energy sources such as wind, solar, thermal, and nuclear, and using energy efficient devices, which could be CFL lights since they last longer.